Alright. I always start the video with alright, I think. Alright. So, as you can see, it's the next day. It's actually the next morning. I literally rolled out of bed and came in here. I edited the part 2 of the build last night, and today I'm planning on doing the Maiden, but I told you guys there would be a part 3 where I went over the build, where I finished it because part 2 wasn't quite finished. So, but I have my original quad here, my original 5 inch. Thought I'd show you that. This is all based off of UAV Futures Stu's $99 build, which is excellent, by the way. You should go check that out if you really want to see someone who knows what they're doing, because I don't. Um, but so this is my original build, and it's pretty light, and but there's a ton of space in it. Nothing's really compact. It's pretty big for a mini quad. It's running the basic stuff, and it's worked great, and I still love it, and I'll probably still continue to fly it. But now that I'm a little bit more advanced in my piloting skills, which are still not that much to say, but I always want bigger and better. And so I've decided to move on from this guy. So this guy is, you know, he was my trainer basically, and it's got dirt and grass all over it. I've actually managed to save the lens cover this entire time. Not that that camera's any good. So I'm gonna set this aside. Now, here's the build that I did yesterday, and I'll point out some of the features that have changed since the last video, since I didn't finish it all in one go. Um, so I've gone back and I've assembled the entire frame. Now it's got the head on it with the camera. All the connections are made. I've gone through and set up Betaflight, and that was pretty simple, other than the fact for a while there I was scratching my head because I couldn't get my transmitter to communicate. And then I realized my transmitter was in iBus mode and the receiver was in S-bus. So that fixed the problem. Um, and then so got Betaflight set up. As you can see, I've done a few of the small details. Um, I ended up zip tying all the wires down, even though they are pretty well kept together with the heat shrink. I've gone ahead and put some props on. They're not tightened down yet. Um, and then in other areas, I've secured a few things with zip ties, and I did go back, and what I was telling you in the last video is I've taken a piece of the zip tie and I've put it on the underside of the antenna and used heat shrink to keep it in place. It gives these a little bit more stiffness without completely, just making them too blocked by all the junk that's on them to receive the signal well. But it's going to give it a little bit more protection in landing, and it keeps them stiff and out of the way of the props on the underside. Let me flip this back over. So if you haven't already seen this frame, yes, I've used a knockoff, clone, whatever you want to call it. This is essentially just a copy of the Armatan Chameleon. It's a little bit different, but I know those guys make awesome frames, and someday I would really like to have one. But when I'm on a budget, buying a $30 to $60 frame versus $125 frame kind of makes my budget go a little bit further. Anyway, so it's ready to go. Um, I'll bring you guys along for the Maiden, and we'll see how that goes. Uh, it should be interesting. I'll go out to my little local elementary school where there's a big nice field to crash in with nothing in the way, and I'll put it through its paces, or I'll try. So that'll be great. So looking forward to that. Like and comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, let's go for it. Peace out. Hey there, folks. Folks. So I'm in the park and I'm ready to do my maiden on this guy right here. It should be pretty interesting. I don't have any like cameras set up, so I'm literally gonna set my GoPro like on this little log I found, and I'm going to go out in the field behind me here and do a hover test, and then I'll probably come back over and turn this off. So bear with me for a few seconds. I'm mostly set up. I just got to plug in the battery and get my receiver going, and yeah, we'll try a hover. All right. All right, hover successful. Here's one thing I noticed just right now on this guy. The battery sits pretty far back, and that's because this GoPro I'm holding in my hand right now, I want to mount on the front. So in my hover, it tends to want to drift backwards, I feel like. But once this GoPro's on there, I'm going to, I think it's going to end up balancing out, and we won't have that issue. I know I didn't go very high, I didn't do anything exciting. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the goggles on and do maybe a couple of laps around this field without the GoPro. And then once I feel that it's safe enough to go ahead and strap the GoPro and do some actual flying, we'll see what happens then. But yeah, you'll be along for the ride. So after this break right here, you'll see me standing out here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see the quad, but I'm going to do a couple laps. So we'll break to that. Here we go again. The quad's set up behind me, battery's on, I have my goggles. I'm going to set you guys down and hopefully do some pretty close proximity flying over here while I test it out so you guys can actually see it in the air. And then we will switch to mounting the GoPro and doing some real stuff if all goes well. Alright, hold on. Alright, I felt like that went well. I didn't take it out of angle mode just because I wanted to do some, putzing around. So I'm going to turn this camera off, mount it on the quad, and we're going to do some acro and actually test it out for real here. So see you guys after the break. Second impression. I do get some noise in the video, but I think it's because I'm using that little stubby antenna on the back, and it's it's just sticking right out the back at a horizontal, on the horizontal plane instead of being up. So I believe that's giving me some problems. So I've switched it out for a normal antenna. It's an E-sheen clover leaf. Something's beeping at me. I don't know, I might be losing power. But anyway, what is beeping? I don't know what's beeping, but something's beeping. It's my remote control. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So I switched out the antenna. I put the stubby up here, and I put the clover leaf on the back. I don't speak English. And we'll try this again. All right. Bear with me here as I plug in a battery. All right. Let's go. Go time.